Hi folks, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. What you see in the vise is a fly called the Fenton. So without further ado, let's get into it. The hook in the vise is a Hanak H900 barbless hook. This one's at size 8. It's on a heavy wire and finished in black nickel. The thread I'm going to be using today is from Simplify. It's the Nano Silk at 6/0 or 1000D. As you can see, it's white. As always with the Nano Silks, we're going to get a little splodge of super glue onto that shiny black nickel. This just helps the Nano Silk adhere to the shank of the hook. So I've used my thread to spread the super glue up the shank, and I'm now going to get a bed of Nano Silk down on the shank. Don't be worrying about touching turns, not really an issue with this fly. So I'm going to come all the way to the back here before I come in with my scissors and remove my waste. Now, I'm going to have quite a long marabou tail on this fly, so what I like to do is put a small bump in at the end, and this just helps prevent tail fouling. Now I'm going to bring my thread all the way back up, about a ½ centimetre back from the eye of the hook, and I've got myself some black marabou, and I'm going to take probably from my thumbnail to just past my knuckle. I want quite a bulky tail here, so I've just ripped that off the stem, got it all together. Just make sure it's sitting right. I'll just twist that a little, and then over my waste bin I can get rid of any of the white bits that I don't want. So I'll bring that in, and I'm going to come in and just lash that to the hook. It doesn't need to be neat and tidy, unless you've been marked, of course. So I believe this pattern was invented by Keiran Jenkins. He's apart from being a brilliant fly fisherman, he's also an excellent tyer of flies, and he's invented several flies over the years that have proved very effective. Now, for my money, I didn't know anything about this fly until I had a recent trip to Farmoor, and it was Simon Lucas that said, "Oh, you need to try a Fenton." I didn't even know what he was talking about, so I looked it up and thought, well, good enough for Keiran, good enough for me. So I've tied a few up for my own boxes. So I've just pinched away the marabou tail. Never be tempted to cut the marabou. You want to just pinch it away so that you get that natural taper at the end of it. There is a little bit of flash in the tail, and although I've lost the label on this, it's from Simplify, and it's very thin, like pearl tinsel. So I'll just take a little bit of that off, and we'll dress it up to the fly. Now I want it to run along the side of the shank, so what I'm going to do is catch that in there. Once I've got a few turns in to hold it into place, I'm going to bring it around to your side, like so. I'm just going to tilt the vise so I can see that it is going to come down parallel to the shank. I don't want it misbehaving, so to speak, and being all over the place later. So I brought that round. Now the reason, you might be wondering why I'm using such long pieces here, and the reason for that is when I bring them together at the end of the fly here, I want to be able to snip them so that they're the same length. That's just the OCD in me. I'm going to lick my thumb and forefinger, sweep everything back out the way. Now these sort of flies, it looks like a monstrosity, but I can just see it working deep down. Fast sunk line and booby eyes. I've decided to tie it big so that the booby eyes I'm going to be using will be large, and that just gives lots of water displacement, lots of movement. So I've got myself some Safety Orange. This is from F&F. Safety Orange Marabou. Fritz, it's Fritz, not Marabou. Okay, and then we'll catch that in at the tail of the fly. I'm going to come halfway up, and then I can start bringing that round. Now with this, I'm going to lick my thumb and forefinger, sweep it back, treat it just like you would a hackle, get all them fibres back. The reason a lot of folks have asked me when they're working with frits, it just looks like a mess, and it's because they're not treating it like a hackle. If you get all the fibres back, your fly will look much tidier. So I've got a few turns in there, like so, and I'm now going to get one more turn in actually. And I'm content that that is enough of the safety orange. Now the materials I'm using is just what I've got. I couldn't really tell you what Keiran used when he initially tied the fly. Come with my blade and just take that away. Just once more, everything sweep back. If you keep things damped down, it just cuts down on fibres being trapped where they shouldn't be. And I just want to tidy that up a little bit at the front here before coming in with my next frits, which is like a sunburst yellow. Again, it's from F&F. And I'm just going to take some of the frits away, exposing the core that I can then trap in. Now, I've done the intro to this video a couple of times because every time I started to say the word Fenton, all I could think about was that meme from the 80s, Richmond Park, where the boy lost his dog and he was chasing after it while it was chasing after a herd of deer. It did make me chuckle. So I'm now going to bring in my sunburst frits. Again, damping down my thumb and forefinger, just bringing that back, keeping it nice and tight up against it. Now I'm going to put, as I showed you earlier, some considerable size booby eyes in, and I want to leave plenty of room to do that. If you're just starting out in fly tying, then my one key bit of advice would always be, without seeing any of the flies you've tied, you're not leaving enough room at the front. And that's, you know, I've been tying for a long time, more years than I care to recall, and that's usually, if it's gone wrong, that's the reason. Not left enough room at the front. So although this might seem excessive at this point, I'm going to just get my wire brush, stroke all them fibres back. When you see the size of the booby eyes I'm putting on, you'll understand. Nope, so I've lost them for a second. Right, so if you watched a few of my videos, you might have seen that I do have a video showing you how I get to this point with the booby eyes, and I'll stick a little link up there in the corner which I'll show you how we get to this tic-tac point. So what I'm going to do next is find a little hole on my tic-tac. I'm going to come around with a loop of my thread, check my eyes are even, and they're not, so I'm going to come back. If at first you don't succeed and all that, until I get them to a point where I'm happy. Couple of loops in. Now when you're using the nano silk and doing this, you need to just get the balance of pressure right, because with nano silk it's extremely strong and thin, and if you go too hard at it, it will just simply cut through your booby eyes. Whoops, missed my mark there. So I've gone half dozen turns one way, excuse my fingers, while I get half a dozen turns with the other way. Now, I'll come in, get several turns in the front, and then simply bring in my whip finish tool, like so. Tighten that all up. I'll just use my blade, I've got it handy. Take that away. Now, you might not have enjoyed that. It's a monstrosity of a fly, or it certainly looks like it's a horror story to me, but I'm assured that this is going to catch you lots of fish. And I believe if you don't want to tie them, you can buy them from Fooling Mill. I think Keiran's a consultant there, and he designs some flies for Fooling Mill. So if you can't bring yourself to tie it, you can always buy some to try. So I'm just getting some super glue in between the eyes and just under to finish off. A bit of fun this week, not for the purists by any stretch, but an effective fish catcher. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.